Hey, BATT Family. Welcome to a modern classic episode.
I wondered how the heck you were going to say that.
Look, it's just the two of us this episode. We don't have a guest. We don't have Jason. Scott, how are you doing?
Just the two of us. I'm doing pretty good. How about you, sir?
I am concerned on how that's going to sound in the edit. No, I'm doing good. It's a fun night. I really am happy I finally got to table something in front of you. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. I've been playing a lot recently. So
yeah, you got to play a lot. I have not got to play as much.
Yeah. Admittedly, I've been using BGA more, but I've been kind of stressed in a lot of ways. There's been some travel. There's been some sickness. There's been all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, same here.
So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of that.
Lots of that. So why don't we get to just what we've been playing then?
Yeah.
So Scott, what you been playing?
We kind of hit it like things have been happening. So it's been things that I needed to learn really, really fast just to make sure I know what's going on, because we are less than 2 weeks away from leaving for PAX, which will be nice. I'm so excited. I haven't flown in a while and I've never been to PAX. Neither have you. So it'll be nice to be at a new convention, and I'm doing full-time work this time on the demo table. So I've been working really hard to make sure I understand the Stonemaier game origin story. So that has been on my table the most. My normal gaming group, it's been really, really hard for us to get together. One of my buddies during spooky season, because we are just now into November at this time of the recording, he works at a scare park in the local area. So his days are very, very busy. And so he was not available. So it's been a lot of Point City, origin story, and then going over rules. What about you?
I have used BJ a lot. Part of it is just to try new stuff. Part of it is because that's how I've been able to get some plays in. And I have played an enormous amount on there. Some really big successes. Still playing Pina Colada Ice. I went out, bought a copy of it myself. We played it this past weekend.
Nice.
You know, for being a push your luck game that is largely dice based, that area control thing that's going on is so interesting. And in all the games I've played of it, I would say I've seen it go to points like twice. And I've played it probably 15 times.
Really?
I've played it at all the player counts. I think I like it at 3 the best, but I'll play it at 2, 3, or 4.
Okay.
It's really interesting. I really like that game quite a bit. There was a tile-laying game that I tried called Viva Katrina, which the box art I think is gorgeous. And then the interior art is bland and boring, and the gameplay itself it wasn't a big fan of that.
That's too bad.
Yeah. I played a game called Moonshine, which it tries to be this like card playing, engine building. I think it might even be the same designer as Far Away. It's definitely the same artist. And when I sat there playing, I'm like, Far Away is just the better game. I like that one more. But I finally got Spooktacular to the table as well.
Yay! Level 99. Gotta love that game.
Look, at this point, Spooktacular replaces Root for me.
Which is amazing, because you've always been my Root teacher.
Yeah.
We always discuss that, like, I'm going to get you to play Root. Well, you're going to have to teach me, because it's the only way. Because every time I've ever played it, it's been like, oh, here, this is what's left. The rules are on the card. And I'm like,
that's not the way to learn that
That's
game.
not the way to learn that game.
And we talked about this a long time ago in our
long time
HVAC
ago.
section, that it was already on the decline for me. But between the app, because now that I have an iPad, I'm able to actually play the app appropriately. And frankly, I'd rather just play that. What Spooktacular does is it still provides you that framework game with a high asymmetry, and the teach is so much easier. And there's so many factions in the box, and there's so much to play. And it's such a fun, weird theme. And the game is an hour. I really enjoy Spooktacular. I think it's excellent. I am excited to play that at more player counts, just play it more and explore more.
Yeah.
Because the couple plays I've had so far, I'm not able to give a full review of it yet.
Yeah.
But it's great.
What did you play the first time?
I played the Dead Cowboy.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked him a lot.
I think there's like a jukebox or a boombox.
Yep.
Yeah, because that just screams me, and my God, that was fun.
Yeah, I want to try the Anglerfish. I want to try
very much
the one that uses the phone calls. Like, that's the thing. There's like 20 different characters in the box. And
Which is insane.
It's great.
And that's the base box.
And you know what? The fact it's just basic meeples is entertaining. It's fun to remember what little silly standard meeples, why they're fun to play with.
And like how good of a game you can get by keeping it basic. Be expansive, be fancy on this end, and keep some stuff simple.
Yep.
It was brilliantly done.
The other one that I'll mention here is one that will honestly be getting a full standalone review.
Beautiful.
But there's a game that came out called Storyfold Wildwoods. And what I was hoping for was that it was going to be my replacement for Island Something Shiny, because it's a solo-only game where you have this tableau that literally unfolds from a book. And it is a dice-based system where you are essentially picking your action the way you do in Arc Nova via a card river, and then depending on where in the river it is tells you what your difficulty for rolling is.
Yeah.
Beautiful art, really interesting system. I was wanting to just like dive into that world so hard. The difficulty on that game goes from flat to straight wall almost immediately. It is so ungodly difficult, especially when you get into that 4th and 5th chapter. There's only 5 chapters in the box. And unfortunately has this system where when you fail the scenario, so long as you've done enough, you still get to pass on to the next chapter, but you do so at the expense of adding something bad permanently to your deck for the rest of your campaign run. So it essentially makes itself harder to win, which then compounds it, makes itself harder to win. And it just, you add in the randomness of the dice, you add in everything else. It's infuriating. I wish it wasn't dice.
I haven't gotten to play mine yet.
You have it.
I have it. I own it.
How about that?
Yeah. I kickstarted
So you
it.
got the fancy one. I got the retail because I saw it on like a card house email. I'm like, that looks right up my alley.
Yeah.
You have better dice luck than I do.
I do. And I think that's one of the reasons why it tripped my fancy.
Yeah, that art is
The art is
stunning.
great.
And the world just, it literally just like
Yeah.
pulls you right in.
The other thing is that, of course,
The story's just okay.
you're the jerk that has got me starting to look at more things for solo, and that was one of the reasons why. Like I went, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll kickstart this because it's basically solo. So
I'm very interested to hear your opinion, and honestly, I think I will hold off doing my standalone review until you've played it.
oh, then we could probably actually do like a duo.
A full review on it.
Yeah. Because I've got that. It's sitting in my room. I just need to have a Friday night to myself.
The prologue has this great system where you just take a deck out of the box, and that's how you learn the game. It's very quick to play the prologue. It's like 10 minutes. Like I said, it teaches you the game, and you just move on from there.
Right.
The first 2 chapters are tough, but you can get through them. Starting at chapter 3, the game is like, cool, have a jackhammer in your skull. It's really hard.
That's brutal.
So,
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more.
That's a fun surprise to hear about that. Anyways, so it's been on my table.
Nice.
Yeah. Because Jason is not here, we decided that, you know what, let's go ahead and do a mechanic shop.
Yeah.
Not to short him out, we have more that we're going to do with him, but we haven't had one since episode 23, which was back in July at this point. So it's been a minute.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That's wild.
Between the break and between the conventions
That's
and
true.
all the reviews and everything else.
And
like
family
just
things.
stretched out. So we figured, let's go ahead. Let's do a mechanic shop. It's fun to do. And we're doing one of, as it turns out, my all-time favorite mechanisms today. We're doing tiling.
Yeah.
Because tiling can be used as a mechanism in a game very easily. It can be used as the whole game. It can be something that I think we have some picks on our list where people are going to be like, wait, why are you calling that tiling? Because yes, we may be using a building or we might be using something else, but it essentially is doing the same thing as tiling.
Yes.
One of the best examples of that is if you look at Foundations of Rome, big minis, super overproduced. It's gorgeous to look at.
Yes. Stunning on the table.
It's stunning. And then you look at Foundations of Metropolis, it's the exact same game as polyomino tiles.
Yep.
That's it. I think we have largely avoided polyomino games for this.
Yes.
Because those do feel very much of their own.
I mean, when you sit there and you look at polyominoes, that gives you a totally different mechanic that you're working with, because then you're also working for fitting. Yes, sometimes your tile laying games, you're like trying to match colors or whatever that are on the sides, or making sure like the road continues going forward, or finishing the path and whatnot. But typically it's either a hex tile or it's a square tile, or maybe it's even a triangle tile, depending, like if you're playing triominoes. It's still a tile. It's just a tile. It's all same shape.
Yeah.
Where when you're dealing with pentominoes, sometimes they're 5 squares long and they're in an S form, or sometimes they're a 5 straight long line. That's tile laying plus.
Yeah.
Because we started adding pluses to things. I think that's the next evolution of tile laying is pentominoes.
Yeah, and I think it is very easy to say that you like one without liking the other.
Yeah.
Because the complications of both the genres feel very unique to those genres.
Yes.
And just like tiling itself, pentominoes do feel like this can be the game, or it can be a mechanism within the game overall.
Very much so.
Let's start here.
Yeah.
What do you like about tiling? Like, if we are talking, what is it and why do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, tiling tends to be a simplistic game. It can have complex mechanics. It can have parts of it that end up building the complexity. But the essential thing of, I'm taking a tile, I might have a selection of tiles, and I'm laying one down. And then you're doing the same thing. The basic mechanics are typically the exact same.
Yeah.
It's how does the game build off of it. It feels very structurally start off from point one, very nice and simple, and it's nice and clean. And typically, because I know you've got one game on your list that I don't like, it still looks really, really neat on the table.
It does.
I can't knock that.
Yeah.
And typically a lot of those tile laying games, no matter which one it is, look very, very nice when it sits on the table.
Yeah, I think that's one of the fun parts that I have when it comes to a tile laying game, is that because you are generally building a growing tableau, and if that's something that we build together, cooperatively or competitively, if we have a central puzzle essentially that we're working with, or if we're doing something in front of ourselves, there's a consistency to look, or there's a reason that it should look a certain way, where the visual cues of the genre are normally so strong, both to reinforce that simplicity, but also because if you're going to be able to turn a tile 4 different ways, it better work.
Yeah, it better work. It better look good. I love it. It's a lot of fun.
I really, really love the genre just for how flexible it is, how pretty it is, and the fact that it can be something that we are playing in the same field. We are cooperatively, but maybe in a different game we have our own tableau in front of us and we are completely competitively. The fact that there is that wide array of how it can be implemented, we talked about that on worker placement of how many different ways there are to do it, but I think tile laying might actually just have more.
I honestly think so. You also sit there and you think about tile laying as a mechanic of a game. It's also very simple. It's a great one to start people off on, because if you get the idea of, I need to do this tile laying for this reason, shifting into, I need to place this piece in a spot for worker placement. Also, your brain is kind of connecting in those similar patterns.
And it's that spatial arrangement is something that feels very natural to people. It's like when you're trying to teach people games and you have somebody that's never played, you're like, money. We know how to interact with money, right?
Yes.
We all know what a spatial puzzle or spatial arrangement looks like in front of us because we've all had to organize things. We've all had to put stuff on a table, or you have a quilt on you and you're looking at the way that that's put together. It's a mechanism that comes off of lived experience and it helps teach it on that very basic mechanism of, you're going to put this down, then you're going to put this other thing down.
Yep.
I know our starters are very different from each other.
Yeah.
Yours is lighter.
Mine is a lot lighter.
Because mine can get crazy.
Yes. Yeah, when you throw everything in.
But I love them both.
I don't like yours.
I still don't understand why, but I know.
So I guess I should start.
Yeah.
I'm starting off with, honestly, what I think made me enjoy looking at a game for how it looks. Like
Sure.
when it's sitting on the table. Because when you get the 2004 Calliope game Suro,
The Game of the Path.
the Game of the Path, and you've been playing it for a while, and like if you're one of those lucky ones that gets to be on the board for quite some time, as simple as the art is, it looks so neat. It is such a simplistic game. I want to say the first time I played it, I think I played it like 6 times in a row.
It's been great for decades at this point.
Yeah. I have often talked about we were going to do like from an A to Z, like how to get from here to there. I feel like this is a great game to start your collection off of.
Yes. Yeah, you can easily do a new gamer journey on this. This is something to start with. There are multiple versions if you want to get into them. I still think this is by far the best one.
I completely agree that this one is the best. As much as I want to like Phoenix, I don't care for Phoenix. Seas is all right. The fact that I get to lay this tile down, I follow the path.
This is just a 6x6 grid.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
There's 36 spaces. There's a stack of 36 technically tiles with a dragon tile.
And when it says 20 minutes, yeah, it's 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite way to play is the way that we both have talked about that we enjoy playing is
Co-op.
Co-op and seeing how long you can stay.
Yep. And again, for a game that is as structured as this is, because this is very straightforwardly, you have 3 tiles in your hand, you're going to lay one down on the table, move anybody that connects. Mm-hmm. That's it. And the quote-unquote complication is the tile stack is out. Great. Whoever ran out first, you put the dragon tile in front of them. If somebody falls off the board, you shuffle their tiles back in, start handing them back out.
Yep.
You now know how to play the game.
Yeah, that was not even 5 seconds.
And you have so much of a excuse to build a meta because the game is going to play in 5-10 minutes. So it's like, okay, wipe tiles off, shuffle them up, let's go again. Oh, you have the underwear tile. You have the waffle. You have the spider.
Waffle, my favorite one is the underwear tile because it just makes me giggle.
Because it like that little curve at the top.
You've got a straight line and you got like 2 little curves that go off and that's underwear.
And then you had the little belly button at the top.
And you had the belly button at the top. You're like, oh, look, it's underwear. And then anyone that plays the game, it's going to be like, oh, yeah. If you somehow don't know, then you haven't played the game enough.
There is a very real argument that Metro should have made my list, but I knew Suro was going to be on here. Mm-hmm. And Metro, as delightfully knife fighty of a game as that is, and it still has all the expansions, all the stuff, and I adore that game. Mm-hmm. It will never leave my collection.
Right.
These two things operate very similarly, but for the type of list that we're building, I think it makes sense to have this and not that. Mm-hmm. But if you have Metro,
you have Suro.
You have Suro because it uses a lot of the same tiles. It uses a lot of the same shapes, but it's on a much bigger grid. There's more stuff going on. There's a
lot more scoring going on.
But that simple, straightforward 6x6 grid, you have 3 tiles in your hand. Pick which one doesn't send you off the table. And if you're forced to go off the table,
can you take your friend with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
It is a game that you could tell me that this existed in China in 400, and I would believe you.
Very much so.
When we talked to Kurt and we were talking about Shobus, like, we really feel like this is a game that feels like it should be found, not designed. And that's the way Suro feels.
Yes.
The game design is Tom McMurtry, and I don't know if he's ever done anything else. Couldn't tell you. But I know that I adore this game.
And I think for me, opening up the box and that rice paper sitting there right off the bat, it hits you with the theme.
Yep.
This was the reason why when I look at a game and I get stuck on a theme, you have rice paper in there. What purpose does it have? None. Other than it completely sets the scene of the game.
I remember arguing with you on the top thematic games list because you put this, I'm like, no. And I mean, I still stand by that opinion, but I get why you get there. Mm-hmm. But it is one of those things that it could be anything.
Yeah.
But this particular layer of paint on it works in a way that it just is so indelible. Like, it is Suro.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it was on my thematic list, because legitimately that paper did it. It was bought and sold right then and there. And it's as dumb as it sounds for a piece of rice paper with nothing more than the logo.
I get it.
Done. So where are you starting?
So I am starting at the other natural starting point.
Yes.
Because you can't have a list about tiling, especially if you're talking about an evolution of a mechanism or different ways to play it, and not mention Carcassonne.
Yeah.
Like, we've all played it.
Yep.
I just played it with Jason on our 2-player night because, like, I don't remember if I've played Carcassonne. I'm like, oh, bummer, I have to play it at 2 players. I love the game at 2. I love the game at 5. There are too many expansions for it. There are some really, truly excellent ones. There are some weird rules variations, especially when it comes to farmers. So, just pick whichever way you want to do that. And it's 3 points per farmer in a field for each completed city within that field. That's the easiest way to do it. That's the way I like doing it. It's the way the rule's been for a long time. But in Carcassonne, and we didn't really cover this in Suro, but it does kind of the same idea. We glanced by it. The game is a mechanism.
This is a step up because there is other parts to the tile lane, which we kind of had hinted at earlier.
Yeah, so where everything matches in Suro, the lines will always connect to each other, everything. That's the puzzle of Carcassonne. You are going to have green fields, you're going to have roads, you're going to have cities, you might have the river, you might have abbeys, whatever is on the tile, but sides must match to sides. So I cannot have a city go into a road only. It has to have a city side, and if that road connects into the city, then great. But the puzzle of Carcassonne is you're developing this French countryside, and it must all logically match.
Is it French?
It is French. It is a French region.
Okay. See, never knew.
Yep. And yes, there's too many printings of it, and find the one that you find prettiest. I like my 20th anniversary edition, which I think is ridiculous because it's not the 20th anniversary of when the game came out. It was the 20th anniversary of when it won some award. Because I don't think it was the Spiel. I think it was a different award because this came out in 22, I think, this version. It's ridiculous.
It's been out for a while.
It came out in 2000, and this is Klaus Jürgen Ried. This is very much a German game with a German design sensibility about it. And I think it just looks so pretty when the game is done because you have this big countryside in front of you and it has really naturalistic scoring. You understand, I have a guy in the road, cool. It's going to score a point per road section. Great. Cities, they're worth a point each unless the city completes, then it's 2 points each. And do they have a shield? Great, there's some extra points there. There are many, many ways to twist this game. There's too many expansions. I already said that, but frankly, it's Carcassonne. You should know there's too many. You get inns and cathedrals because that's essentially like the patch to the game. I heard that recently, and I think it's a really good way to describe that expansion, where it just adds in a little bit more tile variety. It balances out some of the things. Okay. You just kind of throw it in and you forget you own it. It gives you the abbot, which is such a fun little thing to play with. But one of the fun parts of Carcassonne, especially as the versions progress, and I like this one, the most recent printing does it as well, if you look at the tiles and you see the weird little celebrations that are happening in a city, or you see a sheep standing off in the middle of nowhere, or whatever, the tiles have so much little detail to them that you can just ignore, and you're looking like, here's the shape of the city, here's the shape of the road, connect, move on. But if you want to sit there and you really want to dive into it, the game gives you that. But like we said, the game is the mechanism. Mm-hmm. There's nothing more beyond it than you have some amount of tiles. Again, this is one of those, there's rule variation things. You get one, you don't get three, you get one, and you play that out. Because what ends up happening with this game, and what I really enjoy about it, is like in Suro, you're going to be playing it very interactively, especially as the game goes on. You're like, there's so many things out there. I need this tile and it has to go here. You know, you might end up with a tile like, oh my gosh, where am I going to put this? And what ends up happening is all the other players at the table, if you're playing with 2 people, if you're playing with 6 people, whatever, it turns into, ooh, you could play it over here. And especially if you have more than one opponent, they're like, put it over here in this city and we'll both score and we'll make sure that we get ahead of this guy. And this game becomes a game of negotiation and politics almost over, you have the tile I need. What do I need to do to make sure you put that city center in the center of my city? It's just great. I love what this game does. Is there some memory it's given me specifically of, oh, when I built this like 50 tile city? No. But the melange of all the plays, I've played it digitally, I've played it with tons of expansions, I've played it with a lot of people, I've played it with one other person in the middle of the night. This is a game that is eminently understandable. If you understand how this works, then it teaches you a mechanism for other games of how it's going to work. You understand how the game works.
Yeah, the experiences I've had with the game are not fond, unfortunately, but you can't knock what it does. You can't at all. My absolute detesting of the game does not diminish how good that game is. No. It's just not for me.
When I think of the classic series of welcoming games, Catan, Carcassonne, Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
Catan is an activity at this point. Mm-hmm. There are many things that I have an issue with in that game, especially once you get somebody's at 8 points. Cool, now it's just a dice roll and you hope you get what you need because
no one's going to help you. Yeah, I'm done helping you.
Ticket to Ride, I feel, has been improved upon and replaced for me.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And Carcassonne, of those games, is the one that I still own. I still own Ticket to Ride, but I don't pull it out. Carcassonne, you say, hey, we're going to play. Cool. Deal me in. I love the game. Always have, always will. This, I really, truly believe, is one of the best designs ever in our hobby. That's where I'm starting.
It makes sense. I think it's a great start. I think it's absolutely a fantastic start.
So what's your second one?
So my second one, it's definitely not a natural progression by any means.
Okay.
But I definitely feel like it belongs there because of certain mechanics that have happened within the game. And that's 2023's Apiary. It's different because this time, so of course, Carcassonne and Suro, we're playing into a communal space.
Sure.
Where Apiary is, I'm playing on my space. Mm-hmm. It's still tiled.
I'm playing on Facebook.
The difference is that you're building a mechanism. The tile laying portion of the game builds on top of each other. You're making everything work together to build basically almost like an engine.
That is where the engine building is, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's where your resource storage is going to be.
Yes.
But it doesn't have that classical, you have to make edges or lines meet the way our prior picks were.
Right.
It's develop and just
It's
build
develop
off
to make
itself.
it work, and where you place them on your hive allows you to do things. So yeah, it's still tile placement, it's still a tile laying game, it's just in a different way that really sings to me.
Apiary it's such an interesting game because when you brought it up that you were thinking about putting it on the list, I was arguing that I feel like the tile laying is secondary to the worker placement. My brain did not originally, because I will admit, I have a Stonemaier game coming up. Shocker.
Yeah.
But I also looked at it as like, here's a weird take on it. And I think honestly, it's probably one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite mechanisms, because so many Stonemaier games do use tile laying. I get your argument here.
The worker placement is strong, but I think the tile placement is just as strong. Because depending on what tiles get placed and where you place them and what's near you, can sink or swim you.
Yeah.
And I think it's just as important as the worker placement in the game.
Yeah, because it's where a lot of your asymmetric powers are going to come off of with certain tiles. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is not the one I would have gone
It's not your
it.
brain. It's the reason why our brains work the way that our brains work.
Right.
Because our brains brain differently.
Yes.
I just always enjoyed it. And so, yeah, when we were thinking of tile placement, my brain did go here. It was high on my list.
Essentially, in Apiary, you have Space Bees.
Space
and
Bees.
you have, I don't want to call them a series of mini games on the board, but they're various
they're
ways
mini
to
zones.
interact.
Yeah.
Because you have the queen ship up in the left corner, and that is moving around, and as planets get revealed, that's going to be how you get more resources or you trigger certain things. There's ways to draw cards. There's all variety of things
You're doing your research, you're doing your movement, you're growing your civilization of Space Bees. So you're doing lots and lots of things for it, but especially when you're doing the building of the hive, that is your tiles.
The more that we're talking about the game, like, I get your argument, because the worker placement as you're going through really is funneling back to what resources am I going to get? Am I specifically going out of my way to get resources I can hold, or do I want ones that I have to throw away so that way you get to move the queen marker? There's so many ways that the tiling is more than just a secondary portion of the game. I definitely undervalued it.
Yeah.
I get why it's here.
Yeah. What's your second?
So my second is the one that you have unfortunately not played.
Oh, no.
And this was in my top 10 for a long time. It's now in my top 30 because frankly, it just doesn't get played enough.
Well, it's a huge box.
Well, it doesn't need to be seen as, oh, that's a big box, because you have the base game, but then each of these boxes is a different, essentially mini expansion to shuffle in and change the game. It's one of the reasons why I like Glenmore 2 Chronicles as much as I do, because that Chronicle system essentially allows it to become a different game with however you want to structure it. And I say that in the way that Carcassonne does it, which is one of the reasons why I went from here to here. Because again, just like you did in your list, we are going from a large composite tile laying in the center to here is my board.
Okay.
And this is the game that taught me, that really truly introduced me to one-way tracks and rondelles in that sense.
Okay.
I love this game because depending on how far you want to move on the track tells you what tile you're going to pick up. You are either going to be picking up a tile that will go into your Scottish clan lands, or you're going to be picking up a person. And if you pick something up that is in your clan lands, you are essentially going to be just setting it into your player area in front of you. And it kind of is a little more Suro-esque in the sense that anything can go anywhere. Generally speaking, if there's a river, you have to attach it to the river, but otherwise you can just kind of put it in. And what's interesting is that this is a pretty big step up in complexity, because when you put a tile into your clan area, you are going to trigger that tile and anything it touches. So your building puzzle isn't so much, I want to make sure that my cities are next to my cities or next to my roads and whatever. It's, where do I want to put this? Because when I put the tile down, this one will generate me a whiskey cask. Great. But the three next to it will give me Scotsman movement. So now I can move them across where my stuff is. Or this is going to generate me resources that I'll be able to sell to the market or do whatever. It has so many interesting little bits of how do I want to interact that I love what that does. And then you have the other side, which is actually a full second board that when you take the person, you are going to start placing out player markers on this, and that is going to tell you what you're going to get over there. And it has this not movement puzzle as such, but you are going to be largely only going to have one person be able to claim each space. So if I start here, then I'm going to get a Scots movement, I'm going to get a piece of wheat, and now on my future movements, I get to link off of where I've played. So there's some really neat stuff going on there. For a long time, I said if I can only keep one game, it would be this game. And I still think this is in the running for that, though at this point it might be Sentinels of the Multiverse, but that's neither here nor there for this topic. But yeah, this uses tiling in ways that are very interesting because they are familiar of I'm building my own play space. I am going on my way to move around a track and get what I use, but so much comes off of it that for that placement puzzle of how do I want to place this so that way I trigger it now and I beneficially trigger what's around it, but so that way when I place more tiles I'm able to reactivate this. And it's just such an interesting timing puzzle, and you know how much I love that.
Right.
So, and then like I said, you put in the dragon boat races and now you're literally racing a dragon boat, or you are going for the penny mobs and you have all this extra historical aspect thrown in. There's some really, really cool ideas in this box. And as a tile-laying game, it does it so interestingly. I don't want to say inherently differently because you are just developing a tableau in front of you, but that timing of triggering things and the way the scoring works is so interesting. I love this game.
Nice.
Yeah, at some point I'll make you play it.
Yeah, it looks like one of those things that I would enjoy playing.
I think you were either going to love it right away, see it and click in like 2/3 of the way through and be like, okay, I need another play of this, or you're going to hate it. I don't think you're going to have one that's like, yeah, it's fine, I'll play it again. I think you are going to have a strong response to this.
This looks like, well, just as much as there is in that box, I definitely think that
It's a big box.
it's she big, she healthy.
This is the better version. The original one was very well received, and it was 2008, I want to say.
Okay.
It was out of print for a long time. It wasn't as good of a production. Frankly, it's just not as good of a game because the entire Chronicle system, like what gives it the variety and the replay over and over and over, didn't exist.
Gotcha.
So that's why they called this Glenmore 2 instead of Glenmore the reprint.
Right.
Because this fundamentally is a rebuild from the ground up.
Nice. Yeah. That's really cool.
And you add in my Scottish heritage. Great to have.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's my number 2.
It might affect my Scottish heritage. You never know. Yeah. So I'm actually pivoting. I'm pivoting from where what I was going to talk about because I was thinking about bringing up Clank Catacombs.
Sure.
But Clank has a lot of the same mechanics that Suro has, and so I actually am grabbing one that is a little similar to Carcassonne, and that would be Sorcerer City.
The one that I have not played.
The one that you have not played from Druid City Games and Skybound Games.
This has only been sitting in the studio for
6
a
months?
year.
At least.
I need to play this.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to how to make this. So this game was made by Scott Caputo. And if you guys were a part when James was a part of our...
Episode 9.
Has it been that long? Oh my gosh. He actually said that, he would let Scott know how much I absolutely love this game. And I can't believe that it's been sitting right here. And I was not going to bring in Power of Tile Lane. So in Sorcerer City, this is a time-based game because it is still 100% tile lane because you are magical architects and you are trying to build up your city, and in each of your zones you all have the same symbols on some of your tiles that allow you to generate certain resources as long as you are fulfilling what is on the tile, whether it's a pattern or having other symbols on your tiles, and you're being able to manipulate and purchase based on who has the best ranking currently in that year. It plays 5 turns, so it's not that long of a game because each round is 2 minutes long because it is a timed event. There are monsters that come in effect. So like on this emblem, there is the line. So you have to have a line of at least 3 to score points on this. And when you do, you're going to score, this is going to give you magic. You can use that magic resource when it's time to do the purchasing. You can change it because since it's magic, you can transmute your magic into one of the other resources that you want. But there's influence, there's money, you have your stack, and you have 2 minutes. And you have shuffled this stack, and then you're flipping, and you're building as fast as you can. And hopefully you get done in time because that allows you to generate what you need to increase increase your city. There's a market phase, and then everyone gets a monster. You'll automatically know what monsters are going to be thrown into your deck and what they could possibly do. But what color the monster is random, and what the monsters do is completely random, which I do enjoy that little random aspect. But it is I'm playing these tiles in front of me sort of game.
So question for
Yes.
you, because one of the interesting things about tiling is, like we were saying with Suro again, that is a strict 6x6 grid. If you look at Carcassonne, you build,
Yes.
and you can have whatever weird wobbly shape out there. How does this structure into that?
This is a weird wobbly shape. Okay. But like in Carcassonne, when you are playing, you're making sure that you line up within your colors. So even though your colors might match, if you don't have an emblem in them, you're not going to score any points on them. So one of the shapes is a little L, which is basically meaning you need to have so many pieces that are connected. It doesn't need to be in a straight line. You want it to have it curved. I'm going to score 1 point for each of these because it makes a nice little thing. So there's 4. But you're all going as fast as you can, and you're sitting there going, okay. But the one rule is once it's down, it's down. So you have to be like, okay, I'm willing to lock that in place. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I can see how the time stress would cause issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some people don't like that. But I think that's also what makes it really, really interesting, because at the start, you and I have the exact same tiles. It's just how does the shuffle come up comparatively. Like I said, there's monsters and stuff like that. And then there's other abilities that will let you move stuff, or rainbow tiles, which are completely random.
Sure.
I'm really mad at myself that I didn't think about this earlier until like just now. But it's so much fun. It's fun to mess around with. And honestly, it's only 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
And it's Druid City, so the production's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I know you've played this a lot because you've told me as much. And these tiles are in very good condition.
Yes.
This is interesting. I definitely would try it because, not to knock it, because the cover is very evocative of what's going on. I think it has a great cover.
Yeah.
These tiles, I think because it is time, because of what they need to do, they don't have quite the same beauty as we've seen in other ones, but the function needed to take place overform here.
Yes.
I don't think they're ugly by any means, but I do think Clarky couldn't play this.
Clarky could not play this. There is not any real symbols, unfortunately, which is a shame.
I need to try this one.
Yeah,
I do.
It'll be available for us to mess around with here real soon. So, what are you rounding out your 3 with?
I think mine is another one of those situations of, wait, huh? And then you realize how much derives off the tiling in Tapestry. So where I wanted to bring Tapestry up is not just the fact that you have the primary area that you are exploring the map and you're playing the tiles out, and the orientation of the tiles very much is important in this game, because how the landscape features match up and connect to each other is going to score you points when you're doing the explore action. You also have the military actions where you are just conquering the tiles that are being played out. And so the game wants you to engage constantly with the tiling, because so many of the mechanisms rely on there being a map that really doesn't exist at the start. And it's very possible to kind of create your own little isolationist utopia off to the side. In fact, there's a faction within the box called the Isolationists. But generally speaking, you are going to have your major tiling in the center where you are deriving player interaction. Additionally, and I think this is, I mean, people are going to argue me that this is more Pentomino, and I think that's fair, but you have your city board off to the side that is your personal, that as you are getting buildings, you are doing placement, that those could have just been tiles. It would have made no difference. That's essentially what you're doing. You are just doing the Pentomino thing with it. Unlike most Pentomino games, you also have a ton of single spaces with the singular buildings, and that's going to get you around it. But you have tiling done in 2 different ways within this game. Neither of them are the primary mechanism, because doing the resource generation, resource conversion, engine building nonsense is the primary thrust of the game. But so much of that is derived off of what tiles do I want to use. Once I've gotten to the end of the Explorer track, you actually get into the Space track, where now you get features of the board that nobody else can touch. Like, there's some really interesting ideas as it goes along. And over the course of time, I mean, this is one of the games that I have the strongest malleability of my opinion on, because the first couple times I played it, I hated it. Now I own everything for it. I have this thing upgraded to the hilt. I have the big playmat for it. I adore this game. And part of that is I didn't realize the way to make everything link together those first couple times, and really focusing on one track or two tracks at first for your first couple games and realizing this is what this does. That's when you figure out how to bounce back and forth and do all the things. And then you have the various factions and all the other things. This game can be sprawling. I think saying it's 90 to 120 minutes is
generous.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be playing 2 to 3 hours.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you are.
And I don't care because I love it that much at this point. This game has many things, actually, that I shouldn't like in it, because it also has that you can end your game way before I can, and I'll just keep taking turns. Maybe that ends up not mattering in the long run, but that is something to know about this game. But again, that can be derived off of where have I placed my buildings on my player mat to generate resources, what map tiles have I put out, how have I arranged things. The tiling in this is, I think, significantly more important than what I would have ever looked at on first blush.
Yeah, that's a good way to end it. I think both of our endings are pretty solid.
I think you took an arc of almost like a bit of a hill, because I think apiary is the most complex of the three.
Very much.
But you have a lot of different mechanisms there. And then on mine, I think mine is more linear, but again, whole array of different mechanisms as seen. It shows how interesting tiling can be, because it can be used in almost any way, paired with almost any mechanism. I mean, you were showing with Sorcerer City, not only is it real time, it's push your luck.
Yeah.
It almost gets into that auto battler territory of you develop your deck, what's going to come out.
What's going to come out, when's
it has more flexibility, I think, than the average auto battler. But
Telling's great. And you all should be very, very happy, because we purposely did not put in our honorable mentions of Calico
and Cascadia.
I was like, the fact that you paused. Oh, wait, you're pausing to make sure you didn't say Calico?
Yeah.
Yeah, because those two are also fantastic telling games.
I know some people are going to be mad that we don't have King Domino on this.
Right.
And I think that's very fair. But frankly, I think if you're looking at base game as a mechanism, Suro and Carcassonne are better games.
Very much so.
I also like Middle Ages much, much more than King Domino.
Yeah, Middle Ages is phenomenal. We talked about it a little bit, but I think we want to get a couple more plays to actually get a full review, especially get Jason in on it.
There are so many versions of tiling out there. Yes, we have 2 Stonemaier games on our list. Again, it's not really a surprise with who we are, but at the same time, I don't know that there's a more consistent publisher that does as many weird and interesting things, because we could have gone to the Between Two games.
And we didn't touch pentominoes, because pentominoes are tiles, but it's because of how they're shaped that we made them separate. Because all tiles in the games that we're talking about are all uniform.
The other interesting thing when it comes to pentominoes is those have physical tiles, but just as often they are a roll and write thing.
Yeah.
Which tiling, basically on its face, doesn't incorporate with well. Anyway, I mean, you'll probably hear that as a mechanic shop at some point.
Oh, yeah.
But I really like this one. I love tiling.
Yeah, tiling's great. Go play some tiling games, y'all.
We are sponsored by our great friends over at Grand Gamers Guild. Located not terribly far away from us in Grand Rapids, Michigan, they're a publisher that specializes not only in bringing loads of enjoyment across the complexity spectrum to your table, but making sure that international releases are also finding the ability to be played here in the US as well. Grand Gamers Guild is happy to announce the restock of Tir na Nog, its brand new expansion, Blessings and Burdens, and the new 18 Escape Journey to Tir na Nog. Tir na Nog is a tableau development and drafting game using Irish folklore to power the game. It's one that I have a strong affinity for, because if it weren't for Tir na Nog, then Board All the Time might not even have a relationship with Grand Gamers, let alone this sponsorship. The new 2nd edition printing has deluxe bits and fancy foiling on the box, and it is now available. Now the backers have received their copies of the expansion, Blessings and Burdens is also available for purchase. This is a brand new modular expansion that gives 5 new options to play the game, including new components and a new rule set to draft the Geesh cards, because, let's be honest, we all know you've all wanted to do that. Finally, there's the new 18 Escape entry, Journey to Tir na Nog. A repeatable escape room in a tiny package like the rest of the 18 Escape line, this one takes around an hour and has you attempting to have your wishes granted by the Dagda. I've already played through mine and I have quite enjoyed it. You can find the link to their website where you can pick all that up in the episode notes. And in support of us, they're offering a referral code to kick back to Board All the Time on their website, GrandGamersGuild.com. If you go to GrandGamersGuild.com and use discount code BATT10, that's BATT10, you'll make sure that we're supported and you let them know that we sent you. Thank you again so much to Grand Gamers Guild. Why did it take so long to play that? This is not one that comes out very often.
No,
but
it's not.
Man, I'm so happy that we decided to pull that out for this episode.
Yeah, this was a great one, and I'm glad you got me with it. Truth be told, the plan was it was my turn, and I was going to reintroduce to Mark because, oops, I'd accidentally played a mechanic wrong, and was going to do Point City from AEG and Flat Out Games. But, of course, Jason's not here. And so we had to pivot, and we did, and we are doing On the Underground, London, Berlin.
Yes. So I have mentioned this on the podcast a couple times where I love On the Underground.
Yeah.
I think this game largely replaced Ticket to Ride for me. It is one of the most beautiful games out there, again, in my opinion, because I love the watercolor art. I think the brush strokes for the train connections is just so wonderfully engaging, and it just pulls you in, and I love this game.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing this segment because I don't know that I nerd out harder or get more excited. And you really responded well to this one.
Yeah.
Which I was very happy with. So we specifically played On the Underground, London, Berlin. I very intentionally played the London map with you with none of the extra expansions, none of the extra little mini bits. We didn't do Paris or New York. I do own those. We talked about those afterward. But On the Underground is a point-to-point line building game in the vein of Ticket to Ride, where you are going to have a number of different subway line colors in front of you. So if you're playing in a 2-player game, you have 4. If you're playing in a 4-player game, you only have 2, for instance. And you are going to be building multiple subway lines across whichever city you're going through. And each city has different mechanisms and different special things that give them their own flavor. For instance, in London, if you build a loop, you get to score things, whereas in Berlin, you're trying for set collection of various tile types. Along the side of the board, you're going to have 4 face-up locations within the city. Thankfully, the game board is extremely well laid out of A to E, 1 to 4, and it gives you simple coordinates, and it's very easy to find what you have. Because on first blush, the board can look like a lot, but once you've played it and you understand what's going on, it's incredibly readable. And essentially what's happening, you have a passenger that starts in the center of the city. And depending on which cards are up, it tells you where they're going to go. And the passenger wants to be as lazy as possible. So it wants to ride as few lines as possible without ever having to get off if he can pull that off.
Girl, same.
And frankly, yes. So there are 2 types of stations within this box, and in the Paris, New York box, it is only the standard. But in London, Berlin, there are express stations and there are standard stations. If both exist within the 4 face-up cards at the same time, then the passenger will go to the closest express station, and then it will go to the closest standard station. If only one of them is in the row, so it's all yellow cards or it's all gray cards, one or the other, then it's going to simply go to the closest one. And there's some really wonderful tactical and strategic consideration, because you have your overall strategy of, I have 2 lines or I have 4 lines or however many players you're playing with. You know, this one has 20 pieces in it, this one has 15 pieces, so I'm going to make sure that my bigger line is in this side of the city where I can do this stuff. Oh, but man, that station popped up, and if I just branch this way, I can score a point now. And the value of a point in this game can be a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe it's, I'm going to get 3 points by him doing this, but Scott's going to score 2 points, but I net out more that way. So I think I'm going to, like, it is... I don't know that I have a better game in my collection that is as tactical and strategic, and you can lean into both and have as strong of a strategy. I very much love this game. I mean, I give On the Underground a 10. I do. Over time, it's grown on me. I've played it solo an enormous amount. It has one of my favorite solo modes in it. And the way that one works, it's technically a high score variant, but you're chasing the high score, kind of the way you are in Sagrada's solo mode. So you're gunning after a moving target, which is wonderful. I really love this game.
Yeah, this was fantastic. Coming from the background of Ticket to Ride and how much I love Ticket to Ride, there is absolute similarities. It screams it. This is Ticket to Ride 2.0. The sheer fact of not knowing what cities are going to pop up. So you're like, okay, because I remember I took that, I was like, oh, okay, there's a yellow, there's a gray. If I put my 4 lines down, because you only have 4 actions, and you only have 2 options.
Extend a line or grab a branch token.
Or grab a branch token. Okay, cool. Well, if I put down, based on where he is, there was a yellow and a gray within 4 spaces of each other, cool. Boop, 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 boop. I'm going to make sure he goes on my line, and then he had to go back on my line. Cool. I'm automatically starting with 2 points. And I touched one of the water spaces. So there was 3 points real fast. Cool. And then he moved, and then new places showed up, and it was like, oh, he's going way over there. Oh, he's not even going to hop on my line to start with. Okay, cool. Well, now you're putting down stuff. Oh, okay, of course. Yep, he's going to hop on your line. That totally makes sense. Yep, totally makes sense. Here we go. And how much it very quickly built upon each other.
Yep.
How very quickly we had our spot where I had cut you off. Accidentally, but I mean, it worked very well for me in the end.
But again, I was prioritizing another part of the board, so I didn't value the fact that you cut me off one spot. I'm like, oh no, if he takes this, I hope he doesn't see it. And you totally did.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I can do about it.
The mechanics are genius. The passenger is lazy. He's indiscriminately, he's going to go the route that makes the most sense. Yeah, great. Purple and blue, go buy this yellow, but I own blue, you don't. I'm going to go on this blue to make sure that he rides on my rail. Just smart. Just absolutely smart.
A single line piece could mean the difference of 10 points in some cases because, oh, hey, he's going to transfer at this station. Well, he's going to transfer one station earlier because I didn't build there, and he's just going to hop from your line to your other line, scoring you a bunch of points. It's so interesting how it works, because the other thing that I really enjoy about this is you can see somebody jump out to a huge lead at the start because they put all their lines right there. But they might generate all their points at the beginning, and now you're hoping that, oh no, all my lines are right here.
Yeah.
We've seen all these cities now. They're going to go back to the other side of the board.
Right.
Oh, nuts.
Oh, yeah. That was what was so funny, was those last couple rounds, he was all over on the other side. They just happened to be connected to my rail. So it was like, cool, you were going to be able to get him to go a little bit this way, but he still ended up hopping on my... I mean, I still lost, but the loss didn't hurt. I didn't feel dumb with it. I mean, I scored 62 points. You had 82 points. That's a healthy difference, but it also speaks your experience. And
I exploited the loop, so I scored 5 points in a way that you weren't able to.
And I wasn't exploiting the dead ends, which give you 3 points.
But again, I think familiarity on the board, you already seen how important those can be, because you were spending turns taking branch tokens where I was like, I'm just going to connect in. Yeah, I'm sacrificing a little bit of my line to do that, but I'm also getting 2 points at the same time. So, I think it's worth it.
And for me, it didn't make sense trying to go to an end of the thing, because I was like, I was doing very well in the center because I connected the locations, restaurants, your judicial spaces. I had paired up 4 of them, and I think you only got 2 of them.
I think so.
And so, like, that was a 6 point difference. That was a 6 point difference. So, like, I felt really good. And I got to play how I like to play Ticket to Ride with experienced people, because you can be a little bit more cutthroat.
Absolutely.
And it didn't feel like I was being cutthroat, because it was making logical decisions. It was like, this what makes sense.
And so many of the lines, yes, when you're looking at the city center, there's Leicester Square and Piccadilly and Oxford Circus and all that stuff. Like, yeah, those are single connections. But a lot of the board is 2, 3, 4. And even at the top, there's a 5 stop off of the starting space. So there's ways that you can really connect. And I feel like, yes, there are ways like you can cut me off. You absolutely did it over here. But that's because I chose to start on a terminal station. And I just didn't expand that line.
Yeah.
You exploited and expanded it at the right moment to cut me off. Great. I was able to use 3 of my colors, essentially, and my 4th one I couldn't do anything with.
Right.
In a 3-player game, that might not be the case.
Correct.
Because you have only 3 lines, and now how am I going to weave them together? Scores in this always feel good against each other. Even a big gap, I don't think I've ever really seen more than a 20-point gap. Normally, I don't like that, because I feel like a game that the scores are always that tight means the game is overbalanced, overtuned.
Right.
But so much of the balance of the game comes from how the players are wanting to play. Are you playing for the long-term strategy and just going for the terminal stations? You're going for the national rail, or are you being tactical and trying to respond as best as you can of, ooh, I can exploit here and I can exploit there. And the best part is the game is 45 minutes.
Yeah, that didn't take anything.
Super quick. The teach is very simple. And anytime there's like, oh yeah, by the way, it was related to a strategy thing, essentially, of if you want to do this, you absolutely can.
Yeah.
Just letting you know. Yeah.
That was probably the best surprise we've had in a while.
Since Fail Fate.
Yeah, because I was not expecting that. I was like, okay, this looks like Ticket to Ride. Okay, this will be different. I'm wondering how this works. And then all of a sudden you're flipping the cards and we're like, he goes to the closest. He goes to yellow. If there's two, he goes to the closest. And then he goes to a gray. And like, I remember the one trip, we scored 5 points. I had gotten 3, you had gotten 2 because of just how we had stuff stacked. And then like those little mini expansions, like they sound very, very interesting.
They add such a little twist, and then you can flip the board over and
Totally different experience with Berlin.
totally different experience. Because these green circles here, you're going to have one of those set collection tokens. There's going to be 3 here.
Yeah.
These pluses are essentially corner the main stations of if you can get all of them in a network in a single line, you're going to score a bunch of points off it. Otherwise, you may not score anything. It's so smart. And we keep saying the passenger is lazy because we played with the businessman and he can be lazy. But within these sculpts, there's an elderly person.
Okay.
There is a wheelchair-bound person.
Oh.
And there is a pregnant woman. So they need to be shorter because they physically can't walk. So you have actually a thematic integration of why are they only taking 1 or 2 lines? They physically can't.
Yeah.
I love that physical representation.
Why are they only going 1 block?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's really neat.
I love the game. So what would you score it?
Oh, this is like a 9.
Nice.
Straight up 9. Because it builds off of something I already know. I did not feel dumb at the end of it. Like, I knew I had a great game. For my first time, like, if you had taught me and Jason, has never ever playing it. Has Jason ever played it? Do you know?
He has.
Okay.
The very first MacWagCon, he played it with Clarky and I at like 4 a.m. It was ridiculous, and I love it. And it was another one of my favorite gaming memories, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember sitting there after that first play, and I don't remember what our scores were. I don't even remember who won, but I just remember sitting there going like, oh man, this is so good.
Yeah. And it's one of those things of just simple mechanics done smartly. Yeah. It totally deserves a 9. It might be something I eventually put in my collection.
Nice.
Because I've seen it. It's always looked interesting because, I mean, it's the watercolor. It looks gorgeous. The board looks gorgeous on your table with all the simplistic of just painted wood on top of it. But yeah, whoa, 9 straight up.
I've actually pulled the sleeves off of these because there are glossy box sleeves for these that I'm going to cut and I'm going to frame because I think the art is so cool for the cities.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So
I'm assuming it's a 9 for you.
It's a 10 for me. At this point, I think it would have started at that 8 or 9, but as I've played it, and I mean, I said it earlier, I think mastery bores me, and this is not the case. I have played this game an unhealthy amount of times.
I don't know how you could be a mastery at this game because there's so much change.
Yeah, I mean, you can have the long-term strategy, the awareness of my purple is going to stay largely on the east side of the city and my yellow line is going to stay largely on the west side of the city. And how am I going to make those connect? And, you know, maybe I want to go for all the community spaces like you were talking about earlier with those sets. Maybe I don't care about them. Just the way the setup comes out, the setup of the game is shuffle a deck of cards, put out a couple things,
which is wild.
Go.
Which is wild.
For
because
as much game as this gives you, there's so many decisions.
Yeah, so many decisions. Like, I know that for my first turn, I just kind of like stared at everything and I went.
You looked at me on that first turn, you're like, so wait, what do I do again? I'm like, just play some lines. That's all you got to do. And because of the starting stations, you had a good idea of, okay, I can start here. But had you started over on the other side of the city, it also would have worked because they popped up on the other end of the city pretty quickly.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, it was wild how it just ping pong. Yeah, phenom.
The one complaint that I have heard, and for me, for a player like me, where this game clicks into my head the way it does, and I mentioned Sentinels earlier in the episode as well, where I can make Sentinels flow to a point you're never going to notice. Figuring out where the passenger is going to go is something that I can just read and do.
Yeah, same.
And
you were doing it upside down.
I know.
It's just that.
Again, I've played this game an unhealthy amount.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're able to do that. I know what you're going to say, but go ahead, finish. I don't think it's a good argument for other people. I think it's just that finickiness is I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
Yeah.
But it's the complaint I've heard.
Yeah, it's their opinion, and they're allowed their opinion.
Look, if you don't like point-to-point route building games,
You're not going to play this game.
You're not going to play this anyway.
No.
But that layer of how does the passenger move, like that is the game.
Yeah.
And figuring out how to manipulate it and manipulate it in a way that is always tipping towards beneficial or always able to like, hey, you know, I'm down the center of the city, so you have to transfer my green line, and that's another point for me.
Yeah, that was what was so funny is that those first couple turns was literally, he's going down my line. He's going down, now he's going down your line. And we were just kept going back and forth for a little while. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, he has to go down your line now. And especially at the very end, it was, cool, he's going down your line because I don't have a line there.
Yeah.
Cool, here's your points. Nerds. Darn it.
The original game on the Underground came out in 2006, I believe.
Okay.
So a couple years after Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
Which, again, makes entire sense of how you would get from that game to this game, especially within 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
And this edition came out in 2020. And so it would have been MacWagCon 2. And the Paris New York box was 24, I think.
Okay.
I would love more cities in this, but frankly, if I had never gotten Paris, New York, I would have been fine with this one. Again, ungodly amount of plays.
Sydney and Chicago.
I'd be for it, and there's some really neat things you could do with both of those cities.
Here's my worry. I'm going to buy this game. I'm going to buy that one, and it's going to be my new Ticket to Ride. That I will buy everything that comes out for it. Not that I'm complaining about that.
Heck of a lot easier to do with only 2 boxes.
That's true.
I love On the Underground. I always have. I always will. This is one of the few games that I keep as their individual boxes. You could easily put this map, put the deck of cards in the other box, keep it all in one. I think these boxes are so pretty that I actually keep them both on my shelf and happily do so. And you know how much I try to condense games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazily so. Yeah, phenomenal choice. I can't believe I haven't played it sooner.
It's why did it take this long to play On the Underground? So we have had a lot of fun talking through tiling. We had a really high with our why did it take so long to play that.
Yeah.
Now we go into table, shelf, and trade. And I've got one that I'm very positive on and one that I am not really.
I'm same. I'm going to start off things kind of wah-wah. And it's a shame because I loved the game when the game first came out, basically because of theme. There's just so much to it, and I just don't see why I need to keep putting this much stuff on the table when there's, I feel, much better games on the field, especially when you're dealing with set collection and dice rolling, and there's tile placement in this one too, at least a little bit. And they had such fun meeples. But the 2017 game, Dinosaur Island, I'm just kind of ready to be done with it.
Yeah. It's a game that, man, it should work. And it has one of the best onboardings of like, okay, the first thing we're going to do, look at your player board that says 1. Cool. Now go to your board that says 2. Super easy to teach. I don't know what it is about that game, but it...
Such a super letdown.
Over time, after that first play of like, I'm playing Jurassic Park, and then you play it a second time, and then by the 4th time, you're like,
I'm playing Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, is the thing. It's just, it didn't have the staying power I wish it did.
Yeah. It's too much to set up.
Yeah.
Half of the expansion is really bad. Like the water dinosaurs are very bad.
Yeah.
It's a modular game, and so many of the modules I don't like. Great dice.
Great dice. I love the idea. The idea is phenomenal. Who would not want to have Jurassic Park?
I looked at Dinosaur World, and I'm like, no. Because as sprawling as Dinosaur Island is, Dinosaur World is bigger.
Oh, jeez, no.
By like 30%.
No.
It's huge.
Can't do it. There's no way. Yeah, it's one of those games where I don't regret buying it because at the time it was great. And then it unfortunately was one of those things that lost its shine.
Incredible first play.
And it lost its shine, unfortunately, very fast. So unfortunately, that would be a trade.
So for me, I have it as a table. I rate it a 5. Because if somebody really wanted to play it again, I probably would.
Okay.
But, it's been a couple years since I played it.
Right.
I have yet to see anybody that played it a lot, especially 8 years later, like, yeah, Dinosaur Island is still my favorite game.
Yeah. It's a shame.
It is.
It's a shame. So what's your first one?
So my first one is from 2024.
Okay.
It's from Scorpion Mask. And Scorpion Mask I find to be a publisher that I appreciate what they're doing without ever loving what they do long term. Scorpion Mask is Turing Machine,
Okay.
Sky Team,
Uh-huh.
Decrypto,
Right.
and it is Dead Cells, the board game. Dead Cells is a roguelite video game where you are something called the Beheaded,
Yeah.
and you traverse through biomes and do all the stuff, and you die over and over again.
Yeah,
and
play the video game. It's okay.
Look, I played a lot of it. I don't like roguelites. I don't. We mentioned it earlier. I don't like Hades.
Yeah.
I don't like Skull. I don't like Inscription. I like Balatro every once in a while because weird poker, but I have succeeded in, I think, maybe 2 runs in Balatro
Really?
because luck is not my
Oh,
friend.
that's true. Luck is not your friend.
So when I saw Dead Cells getting made, I'm like, okay, let's see what's here.
Yeah.
And I will admit, after I played it, and I played it a bunch, where I went back to the video game and I played it a bunch more, and I just don't care. I just don't care, frankly. When you're looking at the board game itself, and this is an Antoine Bauza design, but in addition to Antoine Bauza, you have that entire French team. So it's him, Corentin Lebras, Ludovic Malblanc, and Theo Riviere, who some of the best game designers out there. I love it when they collaborate. I love when they all collaborate like this. It's how we end up with an amazing game like Draftosaurus. That's them. So in Dead Cells, the board game, you are starting on the prisoner's quarters biome the way that you start in the game.
Makes sense.
And you normally end up in the toxic sewers afterwards because it's harder to get into the ramparts. You need a specific rune before you can get there. And then when you are setting up the game, there's too many boards. There's too much stuff because it is ultimately a campaign game where you are trying as a group to survive. And if a single person drops, you reset the run. And because this is a roguelite, you're going to drop a lot, which means you're going to be dealing with the same enemies over and 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 over some more. It's so much. And if you manage to actually get through the first biome, then you have the inner biome stuff where you are able to heal a little bit and buy some stuff. Then you have to pack all that away, pull out all the stuff for the next biome and reset everything up. And oops, if you just died there, you have to pack all that back away and pull all the prisoners' quarters back. It's so much. The combat is interesting without being great because the combat takes place over 3 rounds, and depending on the number of players is going to depend on how many cards you get to play in. But essentially, each card that you play tells you what you're going to do in each of the 3 rounds. So maybe in the first round you do nothing, but in the second round you get to loot and you get to throw a grenade. Cool. But, the enemies can shield, there's poison, there's fire, there's so many effects, and there's just so much. And when you get into the fact that you can just die because that archer at the end of the row is going to fire on you in round 3 when you don't have a way to block damage in round 3, I guess you're just going to die, which means you're going to restart. And yes, there's a little bit of the deck building that happens with the 4 decks, because if you're picking cells up across the way, then great. That's how you're altering your deck. And it's more stuff and it's more thing. It's too much. It is something that makes me appreciate the video game significantly more because of how much nonsense it takes care of for me. And I don't care about it as a video game, which means I really don't care about it as a board game. I think if you like the video game, there is enough connective tissue here that you should like it. But it's not a 1-to-1 because it isn't like in the video game where you can just dodge roll your way past everything and end up in the toxic sewers in 33 seconds. No, you have to fight your way through. You have to go through everything. If you like the theme, if you like that gameplay, if you want it to be almost a lifestyle game, because I feel like this does do that, that's here for you. But the box is also the main game. There's none of the expansion content there. So you're not going to be able to run Castlevania. You're not going to be in the whatever biomes. I don't care. It's fine. For me, it's a table. It's a 5. If people really wanted to pull it out with me again, okay, I guess. I mean, the solo mode works, but meh.
Ouch.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I think I'm disappointed in it more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, because when you're sitting there, you're dealing with an IP. You hope for certain things. Mm-hmm. Even if it's an IP you don't care for, because obviously you've said you don't care for roguelites. If you like a certain IP, yeah, you're going to give a little bit more grace. I definitely want to try it. I haven't yet, clearly. Man, that's too bad.
The production is great. There's a lot there. And
I think when you were talking about the creators, gosh, I would hope so. Because, I mean, everything that Scorpion Mask has put out looks great. Like, it's incredible productions.
I think there is absolutely an audience for this game.
Of course.
And I don't even think it's a one-to-one of if you like the video game. I think there is a set of people that will love this as a lifestyle game that are sitting there and saying, okay, let's figure out the possibilities of the puzzle and then approach it as a puzzle together. I think there's plenty to sit there and do it. But I played, I don't know, like 15, 16 runs of it. And most of the time I didn't get out of the prisoner's quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rough sauce.
Yeah. Admittedly, I did buy a bunch of the cards out of the well because I thought it was funny to be like, oh, I'm gonna get the well, and then you get to a point it's like, oh, you need an exploration room before you buy more. I'm like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Wow.
that's Dead Cells. This is one of those games where I look at it as, this is my opinion. I
Yes.
am likely, I don't even know if it's necessarily a minority in the sense of like there's not a lot of people, but I think I am on the lesser liking side of it. I can't guarantee if you were going to like the video game, you were going to like the board game. But if you like the entire melange of what's there and you're willing to do all the physical process of the game, there is good there. It's just not what I want to do.
Also, it might be one of those nice things that brings a video gamer into the board gaming space.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, it's something you are going to want at least one board gamer with you because there is so many things and many icons and so many cards and so many decks. But yeah.
We need someone to decipher.
Yeah.
Who understands that whole iconography and what it's asking for.
So my second one, I am actually very excited that I got to play because I have been wanting to play this for a really long time, actually. And the problem is most people say that you should play the original release, not the one that you can more easily get. The original release is a game called Nana, and it has been re-released in America as Trio. And I have heard this referred to as like a card shedding game and all kinds of stuff. And it's a set collection and memory game, honestly. And we had a friend go to South Korea. Hi, Allison. Thank you so much for picking up EV Point Salad for me. I was very excited for that. She picked up Nana while she was there and brought it to our last game night. And we played it a couple times. And I was so friggin' happy that the game was as enjoyable as I wanted it to be. Because in Nana, you are going to be playing with 36 cards. And depending on how many people are playing the game is going to be how many cards are in each person's hand and how many cards are set in a grid in the center of the table. And on your turn, you are just simply going to say, show me your highest card or show me your lowest card, or you're going to flip a card in the center of the table. That's it. That's where the memory comes in of remembering who has what at any given point. But as soon as you have all three of a copy of card, so if you have all three ones, for instance, you claim them, that is essentially a point in the bank towards winning for you. And winning the game, there are three ways to do it. You manage to get all three sevens, which is hard to do because you can't ever just start in the middle. You have to start on one of the ends and chew your way in. So if I have all three sevens, but I have an 8, a 9, and a 10, I need the 8s, 9s, and 10s all to be played before I can do that. So you can win just by getting the sevens. You can win by having two sets in front of you that equal 7. So you have the 1 and the 6, or the 9 and the 2, or whatever. If the 2 that are sitting in front of you equal 7, that's an immediate win condition. Or you just are the first person to get 3 sets complete in front of you. It's a fast game. It plays 10 minutes, maybe 15. And it's one that's as easy as shuffle up, plop, plop, plop. Here's some cards in the center. Here's some cards in your hand. Scott, what's the lowest thing in your hand? It could be a 1. And then if I asked you, hey, what's the lowest thing in your hand? You might pull out a 4 next because that's your next lowest card. Really simple game. Very enjoyable. One that you can talk through and just have a good time with. But I really enjoyed it quite a bit. I don't know what the exact difference is between that and Trio are. I know there is something different in there, but I give the game an 8. This is a shelf for me. If I could find this game, I would absolutely put it on my shelf because the art in the Korean version that she brought over was super cute. It's just like fat little hand-drawn cats and silly stuff. It's wonderful. I think you'll enjoy it. I know I loved it. I really want to play more of it.
That sounds very interesting. Yeah, I've seen Trio. I have not gotten a chance to play it yet. That's very interesting. Mm-hmm. That's a neat, interesting way to do, hand manipulation and trying to figure out what you need. And
yeah,
I like it. So my second one is going to be from 2014 from Game Salute and Starling Games, the dice manipulation game King's Forge. So in King's Forge, you have dice, and it's dice manipulation because you're going to roll your dice, you're going to place them, so there's a little bit of worker placement with your dice to increase numbers or turn them into other types of materials as you and your fellow players are trying to be the best craftsman or craftswoman of the kingdom. You have a certain number of objects that are going to be in play, depending on how many people are in play. There is several different expansions that have happened within this game, but the game is relatively simple. You pull out your dice, you roll your dice, and then you start your manipulations. So you'll have there is the North Mine, where you can either put one of your dice in there and it turns into 2 black dice. So you're trading in one and getting 2. Or trading in one color to get a total different color. But there's also spots in the city that you're going to be taking that allow you to get the first player token or get other dice. But the big thing is that you're sitting there and there's always 3 objects that you're trying to build. It could be, something as simple as a bracelet where you need to have one of the dice needs to be a 2, and that's a certain type of mineral. So it's iron, and then you have to have a ruby, but your ruby has to be a 6. So you're trying to figure out how to manipulate the dice to change the number to a higher number so that you can eventually slot it into the spot so that you can build it. Because you add up the points for each of the cards, and once one of the objects is built, the next lowest is put in its spot. So eventually you'll be making things that are really, really hard. That could be, you have to have 4 6s, one of each color, that'll make a thing. But it's really hard to get at that point in time. So you're constantly doing dice manipulation. And like I said, there has been some other expansions that are put in, there's ghost dice and there's other crystals and stuff like that. It's simple. It's silly. There's no reason to be very serious. This is a 7 for me because it's I haven't brought it out in a while. It might be one of these things I bring over one of these times.
That'd be great. This very much is down the line of what I would enjoy.
Yeah, you have horrible dice luck. You get to mitigate that. You get to change it because you're cool, I don't have enough of this dice, so I'm going to put it here and it's gone, and now I get these 2 to be put into my own personal collection. I've just always enjoyed it. I've played it at 2, 3, and 4. I don't believe there's a solo, but then of course when I bought this game, I wasn't looking for a solo, so...
I've never heard of it before, and just pulling it up on BGG and looking at it, I like the art. It actually gives some almost role player vibes about what it's doing, but it was supported as recently as 2020, so 6 years of life on a game is not nothing.
Yeah.
And these dice are really pretty. This looks really fun. I would totally play this.
Yeah, I might have to bring it over the next time we're having a game night.
Yeah, bring it over. I'll play it.
Sounds good.
We'd like to say thank you to Secret Door Games over at 215 South Main Street in Elkhart, Indiana. Since opening their doors in 2015, they've been dedicated to creating a friendly and inviting space for board game enthusiasts in downtown Elkhart. Their knowledgeable staff is there to help you find new ways to have fun with an extensive selection of board games, card games, miniature games, role-playing games, and more. Whether you're a seasoned gamer or new to the hobby, you're invited to come in, explore, and share in the joy of gaming with them. Open 6 days a week starting at noon, closed only on Mondays, you can make sure that you have a great time supporting your FLGS and getting to find Board All the Time recommendations while you're at it. You can also find them on their website, www.secretdoorgames.org, which will be in the episode notes. Thanks again to Secret Door Games for supporting the podcast. Next up, we would like to say thank you to our longtime friends and new sponsors of the show, Meeple Source. They've been supporting us all the way back to 2019, and we love getting to support them back. Meeple Source is a one-stop shop for all of your board game upgrade needs, stocking realistic resources, custom pieces for specific games, game trays, metal coins, playmats, promos, and all sorts of other accessories. You'll be able to make your games look utterly glorious. They also stock bundles of everything you'll need to upgrade each piece of some of your favorite games like Wingspan, Agricola, or Brass, and frankly, more than I could possibly list here. They also stock Geek Up bits if you're looking for the bags and acrylic tiles for all of those titles as well. So be sure to go to meeplesource.com/partner equals BATTG to let them know that we sent you their way and to make sure to support both Meeple Source and Board All the Time. The specific link for that is in the episode notes below, so go check it out, and thank you once more to Meeple Source. Our final sponsor of the show are our friends from Victory Roll Cafe. A long time ago, a group of friends had a vision to create a space to combine all their passions into one singular dream. This is the culmination of those things. They brought together excellent food, specialty coffee, and hobby board gaming into one space that is entirely family friendly as well. With a dedicated kids zone stocked with games for them, and a custom dungeon for those adults who wish to game in a more thematic setting, you can find a wonderful experience every time you visit. You can find their current menu and the listing of their over 800 board games available to play on their website, victoryrollcafe.com, and you can visit them Thursday through Monday, opening at noon at 711 West McKinley Highway in Mishawaka, Indiana. Thanks again to Victory Roll for sponsoring us. Look, at this point, we know you've been listening to a lot of ad reels, so we appreciate you sticking around. If you'd like to get a hold of Mark, Scott, Jason, or any of the Theater Geeks in relation to Board All the Time, you can do so by emailing us at boardallthetimegaming@gmail.com. If you just want to talk about an episode, or you want to give us a topic of the week, or you just want to say, hey, you guys are idiots, what is with your opinion? Reach out to us. Let us know. We're in the process of relaunching our Discord server, so keep an eye out for that. But you can find all of our episodes, as well as some of our bonus video content that we're starting to upload on youtube.com. We are at Board All the Time. You can also visit us at boardallthetime.com. And while we're still figuring out our social media presence, we are still available to be found on Blue Sky and Facebook. Finally, we would like to remind you that you can catch Scott, Jason, and the rest of the regular cast of Theater Geeks every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, playing tabletop RPGs, board games, and all other kinds of nonsense. So make sure to check them out at twitch.tv/theatergeeks. And now, get out of my ad spots. Scott, it's been a weird night. It's been a fun night.
Well, I mean, it's been 2 weeks. No, it's been like almost 3 weeks since we've been able to get actually on the microphones.
Maybe 4? We recorded that episode with Chris, and then it's been...
Yeah, because I was sick. You were gone.
Yeah, and then we had the extra week where people... I think it's been a month. It's been too long.
It's been way too long. But guess
what?
And
I love you dearly.
I'm going to get out of your house.
Get out of my house.
Bye. Girl, same.